Welcome to the Reboot Show. I'm Sally A. Illingworth, your host, and I'm beyond excited to be here today with Sabrina Bethunin, who is the co-CEO and co-founder of MadeComfy. We're also joined by Luke Stowe, who is our resident technology panelist here at the Reboot Show. So thank you very much, Sabrina and Luke, for joining me.
Hi, Sally.
Hi, Timmy.
In today's segment, we're going to be exploring Sabrina's entrepreneurial journey to uncover what she's doing with MadeComfy and how it's transforming the short-term rentals market in Australia. We're also going to be learning about Sabrina's journey as she relocated from Venezuela to Australia. And along the way, we're going to be hearing from Luke Stowe in relation to what stories like Sabrina's actually mean for business and technology ecosystems in Australia. So before we get started, it's important to note that MadeComfy is an award-winning Airbnb management service in Australia, and they're also an official Airbnb partner, which is an amazing success for Sabrina and her team. MadeComfy was co-founded in 2015 by Sabrina and her co-founder Quirin. So before we dive deep into your life-changing story, Sabrina, it'd be great to hear from you a little bit about MadeComfy and some of the accomplishments you're most excited about today.
Yeah, I think so. MadeComfy offers a service for both property owners and guests. We play in a two-sided market. I think I'm very proud of the service and the offer that we have built for property owners because we enable them to improve the return on their investment properties. I think if I can highlight some of the achievements that we have got so far, I'm quite proud of that we built a brand that is recognized as a thought leader nationally and internationally in the short-term rental industry. Early this year, we won an award in London, an international award as Best Property Management Company. Internationally, we were competing with the really large businesses from the US and from Europe. We were representing Australia, and I'm really proud we won that award. I'm also very proud of the team that made all this possible. We have a very diverse team. Today, MadeComfy employ 45 team members directly, but we also generate around employments indirectly.
Well, that's amazing. And it's absolutely incredible that you're based in Australia, you've built the business out of Australia, and you still managed to win an award in London. Luke, don't stories like this get you excited?
Yeah, very excited. I mean, this is exactly what we need to talk about in Australia right now, coming out of COVID and probably another 12 to 18 months of, economic pain. This is a great story, and I'm excited to learn more.
So Sabrina, you mentioned offline that when you first visited Australia before relocating here, you really noticed a mindset of possibility in people in Australia. So how would you describe what life was like in Venezuela versus when you came to Australia?
Well, I came the first time to Sydney in 2008. I came for a short-term assignment. At the time, I was working for Colgate-Palmolive. And, I was really impressed because everyone was very welcoming. I felt really good from the beginning. And, people say always that you can't be what you can't see. And effectively what I saw was all my colleagues had, I would say, big ambitions and a big vision of what they wanted for themselves. And when I saw them, I thought, well, we are pretty much at a similar stage professionally. Why not? I can also achieve big things. And yeah, I was really impressed by the mindset of possibilities that I found here. And that was one of the reasons that made me choose Australia to relocate. Yeah.
And that's amazing, and I know another big reason as to why a lot of people relocate to Australia is the quality of life. And another big thing in Australia is education as well.
Yeah, and just one thing, Sally, because you asked how is life, how was life in Venezuela versus Australia? And I think one of the challenges that I experienced or that we experience in other countries is that it is difficult. Life itself is very difficult. I would say particularly on the case of Venezuela, the services that are delivered by the government are not up to a good standard. And, you find yourself really worrying about really basic things that potentially here in Australia we take for granted that are good because they are good. But back home, potentially, we need to worry about public transport or even about water, electricity, safety, food supply. So things that you don't even have to think about here because it's just good and it works. And you can focus on, bigger challenges, on even having big dreams.
And I feel very, very proud to be based in a country where we have the opportunity to embrace people like yourself and welcome you into our country. Luke, it'd be great to hear from you, in terms of other people who are maybe in positions like Sabrina, where they want a better quality of life and they want to build a global technology business. What are some of your thoughts in relation to what the business and technology sectors in Australia offer to people like Sabrina?
Yeah, look, Australia's ranked number 7 in the world now in 2020 for supporting startup communities, and you can see why. We have a lot of both private and public sector support for startups. One of the great startup communities in Victoria that I know of is LaunchVic. New South Wales has a very similar program, as do most states, and I think that's a really wonderful thing for government to do. And then you've got a lot of private investors and also private communities that also invest and provide coaching and a range of different services to startups so they can get themselves going and they can meet new people and share their dream and really get that excitement out of being around people who are like-minded. And I think Australia's got a great set of credentials in supporting startups. It's fantastic.
I certainly
And I think, building on what you're saying, look, there's definitely a lot of support. To build the business itself, I got a lot of support from private investors. I believe in the vision that me and my co-founder had for MadeComfy. I think, as I said before, I was always welcome, and I have been supported, respected, no matter where I'm coming from. But what they have seen is really our vision and the problem we have wanted to solve.
Yeah, and certainly in my experience, the startup community across Australia, is quite welcoming and quite warming. And there's very much a spirit of people wanting to support one another and pat one another on the back, which is great. Sabrina, just thinking about, as you mentioned, you got support from private investors, et cetera, and people very much welcomed you into the startup community in Australia. So when you started thinking about wanting to apply your skills to transform the short-term rentals market with your co-founder, how did you go about joining the startup community in Australia? What did you do to start getting in front of the right people and surrounding yourself with great people?
Yeah, well, we started going out to meetups, to events where, people from the startup community get together. And, we were always really passionately talking about our idea. And, as you go out, meet people, you get a lot of people really engaged with your idea as well. Even people that so we got investors, but also people that joined the business just because they wanted to support us. And people that have been with us in the entire journey, the last 5 years. So just going out, talking to people, being open to talk about, about our idea, being on the places where investors and entrepreneurs are. So in my experience, I went to events and, me and my co-founder were always admiring the people that were on those stages talking about their businesses. And the following year, we were the ones that were there. We were the ones that were picked by those investors to make our idea possible.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think what you've certainly just highlighted there, and I know things have changed since COVID's come about, but you certainly highlight that this is the way of the future in terms of how people come together. It's over common interest.
Yeah.
In traditional ways, through education systems only, by having a bit of courage and going out there, you can get involved with the community. Now, I want to shift gears a little bit. And I know that, Sabrina, in your experience, you've always felt very welcome in Australia. Australia is very much known as a multicultural country that really embraces diversity, particularly among people. Luke, what are some of your thoughts in terms of the importance of diversity to the technology sector, given your 29 plus years experience in the sector?
Yeah, look, I think Sabrina's story of people coming here and starting, their own business, and what a great story. And what it tells me is this is a great land of opportunity for people who don't have that advantage or don't have that support mechanisms in other countries. So, look, diversity is such a really important thing in technology now. I love hearing that Sabrina's got a diverse team, and her co-founder is from a diverse background as well. And so that just drives, I think, a different range of thinking that allows a business like Sabrina's to grow and to prosper, because they've got a lot of range of different thoughts, a lot of different backgrounds. And we know that that means that when you're in a startup, having those different mindsets and different backgrounds, that all adds to the benefit of the business. So I think, it's a wonderful thing to have if you can have that diverse range of thinking and range of background. And what a great multicultural story that is for Australia.
Yeah, and I certainly agree. I think diversity is quite key in technology, particularly when we hear about stories in relation to, say, Google, who maybe didn't factor in diversity when it comes to building out their AI machines for their predictive text, etc. And it gets quite to quite a difficult conversation, because it's difficult to overcome those biases when diversity is absent. Now, Sabrina, you mentioned at the beginning of this discussion that you've achieved some great results when it comes to having a diverse team. And you referenced, I believe, that you have about 53% representation of women. So to Luke's point, how have you built out a diverse team? Has that always been a priority? Did it naturally happen? I mean, a lot of traditional companies really struggle with this, and that's why they put goals in place, is because it doesn't seem to happen that easily for them. So how did you get to that point?
Yeah, I think initially it happened naturally. Like, obviously, me and my co-founder are from a diverse background. My co-founder, I have a male co-founder. And also, I think when you have women leading a business, then you attract other women, right? That on the first place. But in some areas of the business, we have been intentionally really opening to the possibility of bringing more women to the business. For example, in our tech team as well is 50%. We have 50% of women in the tech team. And what we have done is, every time that we have a new position opening, make sure that we also invite female, female professionals to apply for those roles. And we give them an opportunity, to come here and to learn from them as well. But it has happened generally, naturally. And yeah, we have 53% female in the business, and that goes from the leadership team to the tech team, all across the business.
And what would you say, Sabrina, just quickly, some of the key benefits of having such a diverse team? I can imagine having so many different perspectives and cultural perspectives is of high value to your business.
Yeah, absolutely. So also we have within the business around 20 different nationalities. And the thing is that obviously our customer base is also very diverse. So from a guest perspective, we welcome guests from all over the world, obviously before COVID. But Australia as well is very diverse. So, we have people that speak different languages, that understand the needs and wants of different customers from different parts of the world. So that is definitely of a lot of value to what we have achieved. So everyone have a different point of view. And at the end, what we get is just a better service and a better product for our customers.
I love that. Better service. Everyone wants better service. And I know Luke is very passionate about the customer experience, so I'm sure he agrees with that. Now, Luke, thinking about bringing together diverse teams like Sabrina and her co-founder have with MadeComfy, and then using their skills collectively to go and use technology to transform a sector like the short-term rentals market. So I know that you are very passionate as well about sort of innovation in the technology landscape and overcoming legacy challenges, particularly for large enterprise. So what do you think traditional business, large enterprise, can learn from startups like Sabrina and her team at MadeComfy when it comes to being innovative and thinking outside of the box?
Yeah, look, I think there's a couple of aspects in this, Sally. And Sabrina, if I'm right, you've used a mixture of, things that you can buy off the shelf in terms of your technology stack. That's right, isn't it? You've sort of used things that are readily available to you.
Yeah, part of our technology is so I think we built what is really necessary and innovative as well within what we do.
Yeah, and look, sorry, the reason I raised that back to Sabrina is that's really a key point. Sabrina and her team have been able to use readily available technology that isn't probably that expensive to go and to take a sector like like the B&B type of sector, and then be able to apply that technology. So location, data information, by using smarts in terms of their analytical capability, have been able to make that better for not only the end customer, but also their clients who are the owners of these properties. And I think that's something that big business can learn, is you don't have to go out and spend a lot of money to really use the technology that's there to your advantage. If you've got the right process and you know what you're doing within that business model, you can make it work for you pretty straightforward. And I think that's a really key point. The other one is we've already covered, but diversity in thinking and having that range of different thought. I mean, 20 different cultures involved in the business. And then you've got such a diverse workforce as well. I think that just adds for more and more thinking to be put into the technology and how those processes are benefiting MadeComfy's clients, which is a great story in itself.
I know, it's amazing. So Sabrina, it's interesting. A lot of people in the startup landscape, both existing entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs, they're always waiting to wake up and have that light bulb moment where they come up with the next best idea. It's some of the most topical commentary in the startup landscape. So I suppose, do you want to share with us quickly, how did you identify the opportunity in the market for MadeComfy? And have there been any major challenges throughout your startup journey as a founder?
Yeah, well, I actually decided that I wanted to start a business, and I started a research process with different type of businesses and different ideas, looking really for an idea. I didn't wake up with this idea, and during that research process, a friend of mine asked me for help because he was traveling for work every week, and he needed help with the management of his Airbnb. I found that really interesting. I said, yes, I can help you, because I was on this search for a business idea, and got into it, helped him. And I realized by doing research on the sharing economy sector that Australia was at least 3 years behind the US and Europe in this industry. At the point there were not services available to help my friend. And then is when I saw the opportunity to start MadeComfy. And actually my friend joined me, and is Quirin, is my co-founder. So then we together started the business. So basically that is how it happened. So it came from a personal need on his side, and also from me seeing that opportunity. That was just a friend asking for help, seeing an opportunity to start a business out of it. In terms of challenges, well, building a business is not easy. It requires a lot of focus, effort, commitment as well. It's basically a daily challenge, from multiple aspects. It's a rewarding experience. I think it has been a journey of growth for myself. As a human, as a professional, it's been unbelievable. And I wouldn't change it for anything, but it is, you have small challenges every day, from people, processes, customers, new ideas that you have and want to put forward and develop. So it's a constant challenge, but it really makes you grow. Overcome your fears, become resilient, and then also be ready for bigger challenges. You can imagine this year is being quite difficult in general for everyone with COVID-19, and at the beginning of the year also we experienced issues with the bushfires. So it's been definitely a tough year for us as well as, for other entrepreneurs out there. And I think, when I look back, I do believe that, we have been getting ourselves ready for this. So now when we face this huge challenge that is COVID-19, I think my co-founder and myself, we were really strong. We were ready to make the decision we needed to make to protect our business as well as to protect our team, the team that support us, so that we could, really get through this difficult time together and, take the business safe to the other side.
Yeah, and I love your honesty with it, because it is the truth. Everyone who goes out there and does amazing things, particularly in the technology sector, it's never easy. And so I really take my hat off to people like you. Luke, what would your advice be with having 29 plus years experience in the technology sector? We know that technology startups are probably one of the fastest growing sort of segments, if you like, of startup businesses. So what would your advice be to entrepreneurs out there who want to build a technology startup?
Yeah, look, I think number one is be brave. Find an area that you're looking at and do your research, and like Sabrina did, and then once you've found it, go for it. Be brave. Don't hesitate. Someone once told me, and I think that's a really good piece of advice. Second thing is, look, you don't have to spend a lot of money on technology. If you can get the base right and you can get your process right and get the business model right, as Sabrina's done, then I think you can do it, really well and set up your business for success and for future growth and for scalability. And then lastly, what I really love about Sabrina's story is coming here to a new country without knowing a single person and being able to throw yourself into the community, which is welcoming, and building those relationships and getting out of your own comfort zone and being able to do that. I mean, it's not easy for everyone to do that, but Sabrina's story is a good proof point that getting out and getting to know your new community and embracing that and getting them to embrace you as well, I think is a really important thing for people looking to make a startup work.
And that's
coming from offshore.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, Luke, going out there, having the courage to do what Sabrina did, build relationships, and you'll be surprised what sort of partnerships form from that. So I'm mindful of time. So as we work towards wrapping this up, I think, Sabrina, your story certainly is a great example of how, that the future of the way we work, we live, we build businesses, et cetera, is changing. And I think we're going to see more and more great success stories like you. So Luke, in closing from yourself, it'd be great to hear your thoughts in relation to what role does government play here in terms of helping Australia to attract and retain talent like Sabrina to put Australia's ICT sector on the map?
Yeah, look, I think this is a story that they should pick up and take notice of. This is someone who's come from a country where, they were leaving that country to look for opportunities in another, came with very little relationships other than, herself and her conviction to do what she needed to do. And then Sabrina's story, I think, is a really great one in terms of, putting herself into the community. I think that's a great message for people coming here, and also for us as a nation to embrace people when they come and embrace their ideas. And that startup community, being number 7 in the world, we should be number 1. We should be number 1, because that's what we should stand for, is supporting people with ideas and innovation, and particularly in technology. You know how I feel about that. And I think Sabrina's story is a really great example that the government should listen to. And, that would make a huge difference to us as a country if we were seen as being that incubator of entrepreneurs and giving them the support to build great businesses. I think that would be a fantastic thing for us as a nation.
Yeah, I certainly agree. And Sabrina, your story is nothing short of empowering. And I'm confident that anyone else who has the opportunity to watch this segment will feel as excited and motivated as I'm confident both Luke and I feel right now. So as we wrap up, Sabrina, what would your advice be to someone who doesn't currently live in Australia, but is considering moving to Australia and wants to build a great business like you've done with MadeComfy?
Well, I would say someone that wants to move to Australia, that any effort that you make to relocate here is absolutely worth it. For me, well, it took me 5 years to get my PR. before relocating to Australia. I failed 5 times my English test, and it was absolutely worth it. So anything you have to do, please do it. In terms of building a great business, if you are ready for it, I would say first thing, start small. You know, literally I started MadeComfy really small. You know, I created the website myself. I started the marketing, contacting customers myself from my house. Start where you are. Sometimes your first idea is not the final idea. Actually, MadeComfy started with a completely different idea that we discarded like a couple of months after and to become MadeComfy. So start small. Also trust your intuition. Obviously, everyone is gonna want to come and tell you what to do or what not to do. And I think you need to filter the advice that applies to you and what you want to do. And yeah, the third thing is really learn what are you good at. You know, what are your strengths, and that will help you to identify what other people you need to bring to your business to deliver the vision that you have. So those would be, I would say, my 3 advice for anyone that wants to start a successful business.
And it's great, you know, Sabrina, I think that you reference some of your difficulties with getting permanent residency in Australia, because that is a reality for many people, and it can be quite emotionally exhausting. But I think certainly the big key takeaways there from you, making sure that you're prepared to iterate your ideas, and the first idea is not always going to be the best one, having the courage, and to Luke's point, you know, going out there, integrating yourself with the technology sector in Australia. So thank you very much, Sabrina Bethunin and Luke Stove, for joining me on the Reboot Show today. I trust the audience enjoyed this segment as much as I've enjoyed speaking with you both. I would encourage everyone to go and follow Sabrina's story and keep up to date with what they're doing with MadeComfy. They've got some great things coming up. And as always, we look forward to seeing you on the next segment of the Reboot Show. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Bye.